Hello, and welcome back to Building the Mind, the podcast where we learn, grow, and become stronger together, one thought at a time. I'm your host, Noah, and if you're ready to build a healthier mindset, let's get started. I want to start today's episode off with a question for you. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Think about that for a second. What would you try? What dream would you chase? What conversation would you finally have? What change would you make? What would you do differently if you weren't worried about failing, becoming judged or being judged, or what other people might think? Because today we're talking about something that affects every single one of us. Fear. Fear can protect us, fear can warn us, but fear can also hold us back. And sometimes without even realizing it, we allow fear to make decisions for us. So today we're going to be talking about fear, where it comes from, how to recognize when it's protecting us versus holding us back, and how can we learn to move forward even when we're afraid. Before we get into all of that, I want to tell you why this particular episode means so much to me. Because honestly, starting this podcast scared the heck out of me. Talking about mindset, emotions, anger, stress, negative thinking, confidence, and all of these things isn't always easy. Because when you put yourself out there and start talking about subjects like this, you're opening up to people. You're opening yourself up. And when you open yourself up, you're also opening yourself up to criticism. You're going to have people who don't agree with you. You're going to have people who think you're wrong. You're going to have people who might make fun of you. And there might even be people who say, "Who are you to tell people how to live?" I'm not going to sit here and pretend that stuff doesn't bother me. Because sometimes it does. Sometimes you read a negative comment and it gets in your head. And you think to yourself, should I really be doing this? What if people don't take me seriously? What if people think I'm a joke? And honestly, that can make you want to stop, like, completely of doing what you want to do when it comes to doing stuff like this. But then I think about the other side of it and think that because there are also people out there who really need to hear this stuff. There are people dealing with anger, people dealing with stress, people who can't shut their minds off, people who constantly think negative about themselves, people who don't believe in themselves, people who feel like they're completely alone. And if something I say can help even one person get through a difficult day, that's worth it to me. I've done my job. My motto has always been, if I can make at least one person laugh a day, I've done my job. And if I can help one person get through a difficult day, I've also done my job. You know, but here's something I didn't expect when I started Building the Mind. This podcast isn't just helping other people, it's helping me too. Every time I sit down and I talk about these subjects, I'm forced to look at myself right here in front of me. Am I practicing what I'm preaching? Am I handling situations differently? Am I controlling my anger better? Am I dealing with stress differently? Am I thinking differently? Am I becoming the person I say I want to become? And honestly, I think I am. I'm becoming a better husband. I'm becoming a better father. I'm becoming more open to the world around me. I'm learning to look at situations differently instead of immediately reacting. Um, and I'm realizing something really important. You don't have to have everything figured out before you can help someone else. We are all learning. We are all struggling with something. We are all trying to become better versions of ourselves. And maybe that's what building a mind really is. It's not me standing here to pretending that I have all of the answers, because I really don't. I'm just being 100% real with you guys all the time. It's me saying I'm working on myself too. Let's work on ourselves together. And there's another reason I want to keep doing this. My son. My son is the biggest reason I even want to do this. Maybe he'll hear his dad talking about anger or stress or fear or making mistakes or becoming a better person. And maybe he'll understand that his dad wasn't perfect, but he was always trying to be better. And if someday something I've said helps him through a difficult moment, then every single episode was worth making to me. So yeah, I'm afraid sometimes. I'm afraid of criticism. I'm afraid people will misunderstand what I'm trying to do. I'm afraid some people will laugh. Being afraid doesn't mean I should stop, because there's something more important than my fear. The possibility that this could help somebody, and that's why I'm still here. That's why I'm still building, and that's why I'm going to keep going. There we go. Fear doesn't always mean stop, okay? And that's actually the perfect place to start today's conversation, because if I've learned anything from starting this podcast, it's that you don't have to stop being afraid before you move forward. Sometimes you have to move forward while you're afraid. And that's the important thing here. Fear exists for a reason. If you're walking somewhere and you notice something dangerous, the feeling of fear might be telling you to pay attention. If you're in an unsafe situation, fear can help you recognize that something is wrong. Okay? So I'm not telling you to ignore fear. I'm telling you to understand fear. One of the questions I want you to start asking yourself is, am I actually in danger, or am I simply uncomfortable? That is two completely different things. Danger versus discomfort is two different things. Think about something you're afraid to do. Maybe you want to apply for a new job. You're afraid they'll reject you. That's uncomfortable. Maybe you want to start a business. You're afraid to fail. That's uncomfortable. Maybe you want to make make videos and put yourself out there, just like me. But you're afraid people will criticize you. That's uncomfortable. Maybe you want to have an important conversation with someone. You're afraid they won't understand you. That's uncomfortable. Discomfort doesn't automatically mean stop. Sometimes discomfort is simply the feeling that comes before growth. Okay? The fear of failure. Let's talk about one of the biggest fears people have, and that's failure. How many opportunities have you avoided because you were afraid you might fail? How many opportunities have you avoided because you were afraid you might fail? How many times have you told yourself, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough, someone else could do it better? And maybe you never even tried. Here's the problem. If you never try, you might avoid failure. But you also avoid the possibility of success. Failure doesn't mean you're incapable. Sometimes failure simply gives you information. It tells you that didn't work. Okay, what can I learn from it? What can you change? What can you try differently? Failure becomes dangerous when you turn it into an identity. I failed because I'm a failure. Those are not the same thing. You can fail at something without becoming or being a failure. Another huge fear is worrying about what people think. What if they laugh? What if they think I'm stupid? What if they don't like me? And here's something I've learned learned myself. You cannot control what everybody thinks about you. Okay? You could be the nicest person in the world and somebody might still dislike you. You could do something incredible and somebody will still criticize you. You could do absolutely nothing and somebody will still have an opinion. So if people are going to have opinions anyway, why not spend your energy building a life you're proud of? Let people talk. Let people have their own opinions. You don't have to make everyone understand you. You just have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And one of the biggest things is people's comfort zone. Your comfort zone feels safe. That's why it's that's why it's comfortable. But sometimes the thing that feels safest isn't actually the thing that is the best for us. Okay? The thing about learning something new, think about learning something new for a minute, okay? At first, you're probably going to feel uncomfortable. You might make a mistake. You might feel embarrassed. But eventually, you learn, you improve. And suddenly, something that used to scare you becomes normal. Just like doing my podcast. This feels like it's something that I was supposed to do. And that's growth. You don't have to completely destroy your comfort zone. Just expand it. Take one small step outside of it, then another, and then another, and then another. Stop waiting until you feel ready. Because one of the biggest mistakes we make is waiting until we're ready. I'll start when I'm more confident. I'll start when I'll start when I have more money. I'll start when I know more. I'll start when I'm not afraid. But what if you never feel completely ready? You could spend your entire life waiting for a feeling that may never come. Sometimes you have to start before you're ready. You learn along the way. You become more confident along the way. You don't need to know the entire path. You just need to know the next step. So turn fear into information. Instead of asking, how do I make this fear disappear? Ask, what is this fear trying to tell me? Maybe you're afraid because you're unprepared. Then prepare. Maybe you're afraid because you don't understand something. Then learn. Maybe you're afraid because you're stepping into something completely new. Okay, so give yourself permission to be a beginner. Give yourself permission to be a beginner on it. Maybe you're afraid because you're worried about failing. Okay, so then let's make a plan. Make a plan So we're not afraid of being a failure. So give yourself another option. Fear doesn't always mean stop. Sometimes fear means pay attention, prepare yourself, then decide. You see the difference there? You can literally take 1 minute to build your mind. So let's take that moment together, okay? Take a slow breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. I want you to think about something you've been avoiding because you're afraid. Don't judge yourself. Just think about it. Now ask yourself, am I actually in danger or am I uncomfortable? If you're safe, ask yourself, what's one small step I could take? Not the entire journey, not everything that you have to accomplish, just one step. Because sometimes one step is all it takes to change your direction. Okay? And I've come to really, really, really love doing this podcast. Like, I get so excited all week. And then come Saturday, I am ready for it to be released for you guys. Because I feel like I'm helping people. And that's what makes me happy. I like to do a mindset fact of the week. And here's the mindset of the week for you. Here's something important to understand. When we repeatedly avoid something because we're afraid, that avoidance can actually reinforce the fear. But when we gradually and safely face something we're afraid of, we can learn that we are capable of handling it. That's one reason gradual exposure isn't used in evidence-based treatments for certain fears and anxiety problems. And notice that word, gradually. You don't have to throw yourself into the deepest end. You don't have to throw yourself into the deepest end when you start something that you love and building yourself. Start small, just like my podcast. I started small with the introduction of what I wanted to do. And I posted it, and I watched that video 3 times. And then I did the first episode. And I watched it back multiple times. I don't even remember how many times I watched it. And I started building myself better. I was like, wow, hearing myself do it? That is encouraging even more than watching my mentor do it. Because it's coming from myself. And then I did the second episode, and then the next episode, and then the next episode. So I'm taking one step and then another step. And that is what I mean by it. I have a mind challenge of the week for you. For the next 7 days, do one small thing, even if it makes you uncomfortable. Nothing dangerous, nothing reckless, just something outside your normal routine. Speak up. Try something new. Start that project. Make the phone call. Apply for the opportunity. Post the video. Have a conversation. And after you do it, write down how you felt before and how you felt afterward. And I do it too. And I'm just not telling you this stuff just to tell you this stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, I have a book right here where I actually write down every single episode of my podcast before I actually record it. So I do this stuff too. Every single episode, I figure out what I want to talk about and I write it down. And I want you to start collecting evidence that tells you I can be afraid, but still move forward. Because like I said, I write down every single episode before it gets recorded. And I use that for the stuff that I talk about for that each episode. I take stuff from my everyday life and use that to my advantage to build my mind and to help you build your mind. I like to do quotes of the week, and I literally look up quotes every single week, just on particular subjects of what I'm going to be talking about for the week. And I also want to tell you about a app. It's called Bestify Me. So if you like to read, download an app on your phone. It's called Bestify Me. And you can either pay for a subscription and get everything, or you can use the free stuff. And even just using the free stuff in this app, it's really helpful. But I use it every single day. But yes, it's called Bestify Me. It looks like a little person right here. And when you open up the app, it literally has subjects that you can literally go through, like understanding how embracing failure, 5 simple and effective home remedies. Like there's just things on stress, there's things on confidence, there's things on like 21 days of glowing skin, like helps you with your hygiene, discipline, leadership development. There's all kinds of things on here. I have learned so much from using the Bestify Me app. When I'm on my 30-minute break at work, or on my 10-minute break, or if I just have free time, I might open up that app and start reading it for a minute. But yeah, I've learned so much from this app. I've learned so much from my mindset mentor, and I have become a better person to myself and for all of you. But my quote of the week is, being brave doesn't mean you aren't afraid. It means you refuse to let fear decide what you're capable of. Love it. Love that quote, because that is 100% true. And the question of the week for you guys is, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you try? Think about it. Really think about it. And then ask yourself, what's one small step I can take towards it today? But before we close out this episode, I want you to remember something. Fear is going to show up. That's a part of life. You're going to have moments where you doubt yourself. You're going to have moments where you're nervous. You're going to have moments where you don't know what's going to happen next. And that's okay. And another quick example is bills. Even though you have a bill due next week, don't worry about that bill right now. Live in the moment. Be here now. Because if you worry about something that's happening a week from now, you're gonna have a really rough week. Do not worry about what's gonna happen tomorrow. Because most of the time, things work themselves out. As long as you put in the effort to make things work out. But don't stress and fear about this bill that's coming up next week, because When you fear and stress about something that's going to happen next week, it's going to put you down. It's going to put your family down because you're going to be talking about it or all depressed about it. So live in the moment. Be here now. You're going to have moments where you doubt yourself no matter what you do. You're going to have moments where you're nervous. You're going to have moments where you don't know what's going to happen next. And that is okay. I promise you. You don't have to eliminate fear from your life. You just have to learn when to listen to it and when to move forward anyway. Don't let fear make every decision for you. Don't let the possibility of failure prevent you from discovering what you're capable of. And don't let someone else's opinion keep you from becoming the person that you're trying to become. Take the next step, even if it's a small one, because sometimes courage isn't a giant leap. Sometimes courage is simply saying, I'm afraid, but I'm going to try anyway. I want to thank you guys for spending this spending part of your day with me. I do want to bring up one more subject before we end this episode real quick. My wife absolutely hated her job. She worked for ADT, which is a security company. And I told her, I said, you know what? I'll go get a second job. That way you can quit this job finally. I know it's been stressing you out. I know it's been making you depressed. And that's why I've been working a second job. But then, here's the really interesting part about how this played out for us. My wife has discovered that she has a talent that we never knew she had. When she quit her job, she started up like a small little business, doing graphic designing on merchandise. And she's opened up her own business called Raven and Root Studios. And she literally has been making stuff on her shop. And again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can actually go follow her. It's right here on Facebook, Raven and Root Studios. And she's been making stuff like this and like that. And even this little purse bag, it says Hollow Queen. And on the other side, it has Little Ghost. And she has discovered that she has a talent that we never knew she had. And I feel like now she has overcome something that she never knew she was capable of. And now she's growing with it. She is building this business, even though she's scared to do stuff like this, putting herself out there into the open. And I keep pushing her forward. I was like, no, baby, keep doing this. Keep making this product. Keep putting yourself out there and building this business because you're really, really, really good at it. And that has given her the confidence to keep moving forward. So if this episode helped you in any kind of way today, share it with someone who might need to hear it themselves. And remember, every great life starts with one great thought. Keep building your mind, and I'll see you guys next Saturday. Much love. Peace.